Okay, Podsters, this is it. This is your tipping point, your moment to take action or live with never knowing what could have been. We all have that thing that we know we are meant to do that scares us, that we're not sure we can do, and that we know we need a little help doing. My Do the Thing Fall Retreat is happening October 13th through 15th in where else? Cape Cod, in the tranquil seaside town of Truro, where I've hand selected a beach house for 9 like-minded women to get together and do the thing. You already know that there's a life waiting for you on the other side of this thing. And this powerful, intimate 2.5-day workshop is exactly what you need. If you don't do it now, you probably never will. Don't live with regret. Do the thing. Click the link, fill out the very brief application. Let's hop on a call because I want to make sure it's the right fit for you. Together, let's do the thing. Welcome to Unmute Yourself, the podcast. I'm Nancy Medoff, keynote speaker, best-selling author, executive coach, and equity evangelist who literally wrote the book on women in confidence.
And I'm Beth Knaus, creative copywriter who works with female entrepreneurs who are done putting safe and general content out there and ready to walk the fine line between honoring their bold voices and perspectives and honoring their professionalism. We are on fire and on a mission to inspire and empower you, and who are we kidding? The world, to speak up, stand out, and get your seat at the table. If you're looking for straight talk and a weekly shot of confidence, you've landed in the right place.
Beth and I met while collaborating on my #1 bestseller, Unmute Yourself and Speak Up to Stand Out. We hit it off and we knew right away that we needed to keep these important conversations going so that women around the globe will speak up and stop building our own glass ceiling. So here we are, coming at you weekly with a perfect blend of realistic strategies, actionable tools, and real life stories to bring these important and somewhat controversial ideas to life. Doing so with humor, kindness, and the occasional shenanigans.
Get ready to feel empowered and inspired to speak up, to stand out, and to build your confidence toolkit. Note to men or women who are not working in a professional capacity, we see you too, and we promise you the conversations here will inspire you as well. So buckle up, folks, because here we go.
Hot off the presses, Podsters. This is hot. This is hot.
That's
right.
Hot.
I'm hot.
That's right.
I mean, I'm hot like angry.
That's right. We're going to call out some folks.
So, Beth,
yes.
At what age would you say a woman is no longer in her prime?
I'm going to say the day she leaves this earth. I think we're prime every day while our feet are here on the planet.
So this is actually good for our younger listeners. First of all, let me give you the spoiler alert to the younger listeners. Every decade gets better and better the older you get. In my opinion, this is my opinion. For me, total, and the happiness curve supports this.
Yes.
We had a podcast several months ago about the happiness curve, still our #1 podcast. It's called The Happiness Curve. And the older you get, the happier you are, statistically proven. So we are talking about CNN and Don Lemon. And I wish you could have seen Beth's eye rolls. For those of you who did not hear about this, so Nikki Haley, who is the governor of South Carolina, announced that she was throwing her name in the ring for president of the United States. And Mr. Lemon's response was that he kind of chuckled and said, she passed her prime. She's past her prime. She's past her prime.
How old is she? Please tell the
51. She's 51. 51. So there's a few things. There's a few things here. So A, what? B, I'd like to Google the average age of the last 25 presidents and see how old they were.
Oh, can we just say current president, last president? Probably they're not 51. That's all I'll say.
Do you think anybody would ever say that? I'm trying to think of who was a man that was running for president. I don't know. I can't think of anyone. It doesn't matter. No one would ever say that about a man. I'm going to Google this while we're talking. So the issue, one of the issues. So, okay. So CNN, the women at CNN went ballistic, justifiably so. Right.
Of course. Yes.
And they were like, right. They're like, what are you kidding? Like, what kind of crime are you talking about? Are you talking about childbearing years? Are you talking about,
Right.
Right.
Ridiculous.
Fun fact, Don himself is 56. Okay. So.
And fun fact, if we're washed up at 51, we probably should shut down the podcast.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So he issued a non-apology, and we'll drill down on that in a second.
That's right.
And a lot of insiders at CNN are like, he should be gone. So there's a former executive actually who said he should be fired. He should be fired for saying that. Now, I don't know if I agree with that. I don't know if I agree with the whole cancel culture. What got me going, and which I'm going to be speaking about at Disrupt HR in Boston, March 30th. It's a live. I have to tell you about this. This is kind of cool. You have 5 minutes, 20 slides, 15 seconds each slide. It's kind of cool. Yeah. And you talk about disruptive topics. Anyway, so what gets me going is that CNN issued this big statement. The big statement was after he was out of work for paid, by the way, I think a total of 4 days, maybe a few days longer. They said, we feel very upset about what happened and Don will undergo some training. And I looked at that and I laughed out loud, first of all, and not the good kind of LOL. And then I was like, what? Don is going to undergo training? Don. Okay. I guarantee you that in a culture, Don Lemon to return to CNN will undergo formal training following sexist comments. So Don Lemon's the only one that's going to undergo the training, the sexist comment training?
Yeah, there's a lot here. There's a lot that's wrong here because first of all, this is something that everybody should have already had training for in the first place, right?
Thank you.
Gender bias, here we are. And here's CNN as a big company, right? Huge. And what they're saying is we don't train our staff appropriately until they screw up, and then we have to clean up the mess. Right? We're going to wait for people to fall on their face, and then we're going to clean up the mess so that we all look bad together.
I completely agree. I don't even know what to say. And his non-apology is concerning to me. It was a non-apology.
Right.
So let's talk. Yeah, let's talk about.
Let me say, I heard you. I'm listening to you.
Yeah.
So what that says to me is, I have to play this game of saying what I think you want me to say. He didn't say, I'm sorry. I wasn't thinking. I did not mean to insult Nikki Haley. He didn't say anything about directly insulting her. What it basically was, I'm listening to you and what you expect to hear from me as a news person.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to say what's going to appease you.
Mm-hmm. Totally. It's the non-apology. I think he was gone less than a week. I'm trying to look it up as we're talking. And what's interesting is his co-hosts and the women who were on the air with him are the ones that started the pushback. Like right there. They were like, wait, what? Hold up. What if they hadn't? What if it was two men on the air?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yep. I don't. And he said, research shows that women are in peak mode in their 20s, 30s, and 40s. Research show. This is an anchor on CNN saying research shows that women are in their prime in their 20s, 30s, and 40s.
Prime for what? To serve men like you? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm gonna, what research? What research? What are you
Where
even
is that?
talking about? What
Where is
research?
that, bro? You want to go outside?
Yeah, he needs to go. He needs to go. He needs to go.
Well,
He needs to go.
and it's so here's the thing. If they haven't had this sort of training, which so many companies are investing in and have been in the past, whatever, 5 to 10 years, I'm just going to guess and estimate, they still need to clearly educate their other people if they've never done this sort of training or educating before. I mean, who are the women in his life is all I want to know.
Yeah, I really, I don't know. I don't know. Again, so you're apologizing. It's like, I'm sorry, you're upset at what I said. That's not an apology.
No, it's not an apology.
How about, I'm sorry I threw facts around that aren't accurate?
Right.
How about, I think here's the issue for me.
There's no genuine. There's nothing genuine.
He's not being held accountable. Sending
Right.
somebody to formal training, that's not being held accountable. That's not being held accountable.
No. You know what it is? Apologizing to Nikki Haley. Apologizing to the audience for saying something so close-minded. Yeah. I don't like it. It's not good. And I do feel like it has something, it really ties into this whole concept of embracing equity, right? Which is the theme of the month.
Yes.
And okay, maybe he wasn't raised, or maybe he doesn't live in a situation where somebody is waking him up to these things. But train everybody then, because what do they know about the rest of the people at the company? Everybody should have, okay, maybe he knows less than other people. Well, let's bring everyone up to speed and make sure everyone has it.
That's my point. That's one of my points.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of my points. I also, so equity is different than equality. Equality is equal access for everyone. Equity is making up for where other people came from and they did not have access, for lack of a better term. So I wonder what happened in his life that informed that comment.
Well, yeah, right. I mean, it came from somewhere.
Right. Like what, yeah. Mm-hmm. Not married, by the way.
There's a big surprise, huh?
I don't think he's married. I don't think he's married. Not married. Nope. Nope. Oh, okay. So anyway, what do we think? So let's go back to yes, it's about embracing equity, and I totally agree with that. And this is a big miss for CNN. Big miss. So imagine if CNN had come out and said, we understand Dawn needs some work to do, and frankly, we all do. So effective 30 days from now, everyone at CNN is going to go through gender bias training.
Right.
Do you what a home run would that have been? Meanwhile, it happened in the middle of International Women's Month.
Yes.
Or International Women's Day. Or international, you know what I meant.
Yes.
This whole thing is all kinds of wrong to me. It really is. It really is. Missed opportunity, CNN. Yes. Missed opportunity. What?
I said, I agree.
CEO missed opportunity. HR, where is HR? Although you never know. It could be that the executive team just isn't giving them what they need. PR, there's a PR nightmare. Come on, Dawn, do better. Dawn.
I love what you said, what they should say, that CNN should say that as a whole, they clearly had some work to do, because that's honest. It's forthcoming, right? Everything about it is genuine. And my favorite word, authentic. It's authentic to say, you know what? We don't know enough. We missed the mark. We're cut short. And I actually just myself did a social post in the past few weeks about not being afraid to say that you don't know, that it's much better to stand up and say, I didn't know how to handle that, or I don't know how to handle that, or I don't know the answer to
Mhm.
a question, or I don't know how to handle a crisis, or than to try to fudge your way through it.
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm. 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 Yep. 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 Yes. Yes. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. He did say the reference I made to a woman's prime this morning was inartful and irrelevant. He
in
didn't
art,
say untrue.
inartful. What even is that?
He said inartful and irrelevant, as colleagues and loved ones have pointed out, and I regret it. A woman's age doesn't define her either personally or professionally. I have countless women in my life who prove that every day. What? Inartful and he didn't say it's not true. Oh, wait, did he say that? Anyway. And by the way, he didn't say it. He didn't say it about her being president. He said it about her commenting on or being able to talk about mental health or something like that. By the way, I did Google the average age of the American president. It's 55. So they're past their prime too. Are they not, Don?
Only past their prime.
Are they not? So I feel like we're kind of ranting a little bit. So let's talk about I am at least. Ageism. Ageism. Is it real?
Well, clearly it is real. We're looking right at it.
And do we think it's better, worse, or the same as it used to be?
That's a good question. I just want to think about that for a second.
Okay. That's thinking, Podsters.
That's right. Done.
So, Podsters, we'll ask you the question too. Shoot us a note,
That's right.
DM,
Absolutely.
tweet, text, whatever.
So I think it's probably something that's changing and maybe hasn't gotten any better, but there's some sort of like, it's just something that's still kind of morphing. Because when I think back to like 60s or 70s or 80s, when women had children, they didn't necessarily enter the workplace again.
Okay.
So ageism is a fairly current thing for women, right? I mean, I think
women,
it's been there for men. It's definitely been there for men. But at the same time, throughout history, and like if you think about, like movie stars or commercials or things like that, we always talk about how men age gracefully with their gray hair and they, come into a more mature look that's attractive, whereas women are not talked about that way. But is it getting worse in the workplace, do you think?
Is that rhetorical or are you asking me?
I'm asking you.
So here's what's difficult for me, that I am older now than I was. And for the younger podcast listeners, younger podsters, because I know there's a lot of new listeners and I know that many of them are in their 20s and 30s. This will apply to you sooner than you think. So I don't think that that ageism is necessarily worse. I think the inability or the lack of interest in keeping up with trends and what the younger people, and what the younger people are doing is worse. I think the disconnection between boomers and what are they called now? Zillennials? Gen Zs,
Yeah.
is being much more evident. That's what I think. So it might, whereas in the past it might have been you're 55 and we want younger people. Now it could be you're 55 and based on what we've seen in your experience, you can't relate with our demographic, or you can't relate with our ideal client. You can't relate with our target demographic. It depends. I think it depends. I think it depends. And yeah, I think it depends. I think it's a tough question. It's a tough question
too, because I also think it's about how old is a company, who's the leadership, What are their views on ageism? And you're right. There's a lot of companies now, right? These like tech startups and things like that. They're started by people that are much younger than the age of people who used to start businesses. And so what are they feeling? And you know what? At the end of the day, again, this comes back to training and equity, is that there are a lot of folks, once you get over, and I'm stereotyping and generalizing, over 60, I'm going to say, that do struggle with new technology and how it changes. But that's not to say that they shouldn't be taught or trained if they are willing to learn it, right? And I think if you're willing to learn it, it happens easier.
Yeah, and that goes back to the happiness curve again, and the institutional knowledge, and the I forget the term, of course, the different knowledge. So I might not be able to tweet as fast as someone like my nieces or my nephews,
Right.
but I have the life experience.
Yes.
I might make a small mistake sending a tweet. They're going to make a huge mistake if they don't have the experience that I have.
The wisdom, something that comes with years.
It's interesting. Yeah. I participated in a Boston Globe was holding a, some free webinar a couple months ago or a month ago with a gentleman who wrote a book about ageism. And I submitted the question because this comes up a lot. But the question I submitted was, what advice would you give to women who are told to cut out the first 10 to 15 years of their experience on their resume? Because this happens a lot. I have a lot of women that I work with, career coaching, who they say, well, the recruiter told me to take out the first 20 years. And there's a few things that I say to that. The first is, why would you want to work for a company that doesn't value the first 20 years of your experience? Two, they're going to find out eventually, right? Like the jig's up. They're going to look you up, or they're going to see you, and they're going to see that you're 20 years older than you're representing in the resume. And three, I understand that everybody needs to put bread on the table. And also at the same time, I would question, do you want to work for a company that's not going to value all of your experience? So much so that you're going to take it off. To me, that's a racing part of who you are. That's a racing part of who you are.
Right. And you know what? Whatever that first 20 years held, whether it was taking time off to raise a family, or, starting out at your baseline job, or, something that in a different field, you're still learning day to day valuable skills, talents, perspectives, knowledge, experience that you're going to take with you. Like, your best skills aren't always the most obvious ones.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I have the wherewithal now when I meet a woman or a man who's older in business to sit down with them and pick their brain. They have so much information. They have so much experience. They've been through everything. So to me, to discount that, even if you're on the T, or if you're on a bus, or you're on a plane and the person next to you is older, that's a gold mine. That's a gold mine. It's a gold mine. It's a gold mine.
Side note, inartful, the word inartful means awkwardly expressed, but not necessarily untrue.
We need to cancel him. He needs to be canceled.
He's canceled.
He's canceled. So the call to action here is everybody tweet to CNN that they need to get rid of him, because I'll tell you what, again, I have said plenty of things in my life that were inappropriate or not nice, or not true. Well, not on purpose. 100%, I will say I was wrong. I shouldn't have said what I said. It was inaccurate and it was not true. And I apologize. How hard is that?
Yep. What? I mean, that's the right thing to do. We're human. We're going to make mistakes. How do you take care of it afterwards? That's the issue here. It's not really that he said some stupid thing, because Lord knows we can all say something stupid. It's how you handle it afterwards.
It's how you handle it afterwards, which goes back to our next episode is going to be about criticism and how to give and receive criticism. And that's a really good point, because even if you mess that up, like if you say, you're always cutting me off when I'm talking, or whatever the case may be, which in our world is common with a lot of people we talk to, Hey, I might not have delivered that the right way, but the message was still the same. We need to talk about this.
Yes.
Anyway, so I think the call to action should be to tweet. For those of you that are on the Twitter, if you're on the Twitter, I am not. You gotta tweet some bad juju at CNN because I'm mad.
Yeah.
I'm more mad at CNN than I am at Don Lemon.
Yeah. Let them know how you feel.
Yep. The other thing I would say, and we've talked about this before too, anyone, if you're, don't discount someone because you think they're out of touch.
Right.
Yeah. I see it a lot. I see it a lot with people that are close to me, people discounting people that are close to me because they think they're out of touch. And it's a shame because I know how much information they have and I know how much better the person who's discounting them would be if they would pick their brain a little more.
Yeah.
Interesting. Cool, man.
All right.
That wraps up. We are wrapping up Women's History Month. April's coming. We got a lot of stuff coming up about spring cleaning, cleaning your mind, spring cleaning your business, spring cleaning your life. What else we have coming up? Yeah, we do. I don't think Beth knew that one. We have kin keeping. We want to talk about that, right?
I know, kin keeping.
The shadow self. That's going to be a good one.
Mm-hmm.
And then what was the one we were going to talk about today, but we ran out of time?
We were going to talk about the glass ceiling.
Yeah. I don't think it was something else. I know we were going to talk about that too. There was something else that we said we don't have. I don't remember. Yeah. So Podsters, if you haven't heard the term kin keeping, I had to Google it. Beth comes to me with these things and I'm like, it sounds great, but I have no idea what she's talking about because she's so well read.
I'm on the TikTok.
She's on the TikTok. Well, that's why. Maybe it was tall poppy syndrome. I don't remember. I think it was tall poppy syndrome.
All right.
So take a look at kin keeping. It's very interesting. Very interesting.
Yep.
And because we're going to talk about it in an upcoming episode. Also, let us know if you want us to do more LinkedIn Lives. We figured out how to do it. We can do it. I think we should just start doing it. And let us know what you think. We love to hear from you.
All right.
That's it. Bye for now, Podsters.
Bye, everybody.
That's a wrap, Podsters. If you were thinking of someone as you were listening to this, share it. If you nodded along and even shouted out a couple of yes, leave us a review. Please, please, please. If you want to make sure you don't miss next week's episode, hit that follow button.
And you can find us everywhere. And if you would like to learn more about us and exactly what we do, take a look in the show notes for our deets. See you
next week.
Podsters.